Cody Rhodes is now being booed a lot. So the question for you, Ash, is this a work? On Cody's part, is this a work?
I don't really know, to be honest.
What's your gut?
I got a feeling, in his mind, with the booing, he's now called Cody Cena.
Well, they made this reference already. I think Tony said that they feel like it's the same as John Cena. I think there's some truth to it, but I don't think it is quite the same. I don't think it is quite the same. Cena wasn't a founding member of the WWE.
No.
For one, and that plays a big role. But the Cody thing, I want to say that it's a work, because if it is a work, then it'll be great for him to turn heel. But it's tricky to tell, and that's why it's hard to approach this, because if it's a work, the more we moan about it, the more we've been worked, and actually the better that work has become. So actually that's really good on him, isn't it?
Well,
but on the other hand, if it's not,
it's because we got in Full Gear. I'm sure it's him and Pac against Andrade and.
You think they're building towards a tag?
I think that's a tag. I might be wrong.
I was hoping for a 4-way, if I'm honest, but I guess a tag probably makes more sense at this
tag,
juncture.
and there's a possibility that it could turn heel on Pac. But why would you?
But why? Yeah, is that the place you'd do it? I would say probably not.
Especially when you got Arn Anderson doing the promos about shooting people.
Armed Anderson.
Well, yeah.
Oh, man. What did you make of that promo?
I laughed, but I'm not sure I was meant to laugh.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was meant to laugh.
Because a part of me was going, can you really say that you'd shoot someone on TV?
I mean, I know.
Even though it's wrestling and wrestling's not real.
I mean,
don't shoot me on.
It's very much moved on now from the Brian Pillman has a gun segment.
Yeah, it's not like he's actually got a gun on him.
No, but it's the implication.
Yeah, and it's that you'd kill someone.
I get the idea behind the promo. It's talking about that killer instinct, but it's just, again, it just felt really out of place. Like it was really odd. The best thing to come out of it is obviously, he turned himself into a meme.
Yeah.
He's now Armed Anderson. Funny that his son's called Brock, because now he's Glock Anderson.
I mean, if he was serious, why didn't you just join the gun club?
Literally. I think... Yeah, what happened to that? I don't watch Hardcore Elevation. So. But yeah, man, there's a lot to kind of maybe look at when you're looking at the Cody Rhodes, is it a work, is it not situation, because even going back to the Anthony Ogogo feud and this whole, just weird, man. It just felt really kind of tone deaf for me. And that whole angle didn't do much for me anyway, because even the whole making it about America versus the UK, like, well, why? Like, what was the... I don't like the country versus country thing in wrestling. It might have worked 20, 30 years ago, but...
It happened since the end of the Second World War, but...
Oh, I know, but my goodness, I'm done with it.
I know it's different for us because we're British, and obviously we support a go-go and any British wrestler, really, even if we don't like
No, I wouldn't have done. If I was into Cody at the time, I'd have still been rooting for Cody.
But
I don't know where this like mindset is that like we will cheer anybody if they're from our home country, because Americans aren't doing that, are they? They don't just cheer everybody because they're American.
Yeah, they do.
They don't. Of course they don't. You're going to boo people.
Yeah, but
they're booing Cody. It's weird. I don't get it. I was not into that program, and then obviously this whole Road to the Top reality show that he's got going for him now, that doesn't work for me either on many, many levels. I don't like what I've seen of it. I won't watch any more of it.
Well,
stop trying to broadcast that. I don't want to keep being reminded, Cody, that like what we're watching isn't real. I don't want to keep being reminded of it. Like, let's just get into the product. And obviously then more recently he did because of the whole Malachi Black situation, he cut that promo, which started off pretty good, and at face value you think, oh, that was an interesting, another good Cody promo, because he can drop some good zingers. He does fire out some good promos. But the one he did recently about, I hear you, but turning heel is the easy route, and you might not like me, but I love you, sort of thing. I didn't overly like that promo, just for the reason that he didn't actually, like, nothing really of note was really said other than I won't turn heel even if you want me to. Which again, if you couple it with the fact that Cody's openly going out there with these shows like, oh, well, wrestling is predetermined and scripted, and these are the parts we play. It's basically Cody saying, like, I'm not going to play the part you want me to, which is going to get him further booed. And I know Cena did something along those lines, like many, many, many years after the booing started for him, with the whole, oh look, maybe I'll do a heel turn. And he did the
that got cheered.
But that got cheered. But again, it was done. It was different.
Yeah.
Cody's thing, I just think it's so clear that he should go heel, and that's why again I'm hoping that it is all a work and that he does move into it, because the whole, even his outfit, that he comes out with in the entrance, and we'll talk about the entrance in full now, but the costumes alone are Homelander for the Amazon series The Boys.
Yeah.
For anyone who's seen that, obviously Homelander is the hero in that thinks that he's loved by everybody, but actually he's not. And I thought, obviously Cody's self-aware enough to address that with his attire, but even with the tunnels, then for the entrance you have heels. More often than not, heels come out of one tunnel and faces come out the other.
Yeah.
And Brandy has come out of the heel one a few times, so I thought that was a subtle nod. She did for the one in the Cody Malachi Black 2 in New York when she came out. But even the fact that he comes in the middle could be a nod that, he's a tweener.
I don't like that.
But I don't know exactly. I don't. That's a heelish move. He gets the grandest entrance out of everybody. He gets all of the pyro that they have. Like, absolutely everything goes off.
Yeah.
That weird, like, oh, at the beginning. Come on, Cody. He's a phenomenal in-ring talent, but get away. That's not... It's not a face move.
Would it help if they stopped making him feud with people that the crowd like?
I think the only reason people don't like that is because he tends to go over. And this is what people's concern was the Malachi Black thing, which I want to clear up now. I'm not necessarily bothered that he lost, that he won the third one, because in a storyline sense, how else can you book it? He has to get a win somewhere.
But if it was, I didn't like the fact he won the third one. If he'd won a second one, I know people would have been upset, but it would have made sense to do a third one. What's the point of doing a third one?
Well, I think the third one, yeah, exactly. But then the third one, then you could have maybe, held off to Full Gear for and do it a pay-per-view. I don't necessarily mind that he even won that third one, basically because Malachi has been saving that in, look, it's not about winning, it's about I've ruined you. So they do a good job of playing this all in, but for me, we say about Cena, and let's talk about those comparisons now then, and if there are genuine comparisons
but
there.
Cena got cheered.
So Cody is getting cheered still as well. This last Dynamite, he was getting... There were cheers trying to outpower the boos. So,
but is that could be
based on where you are?
Yeah, it could be a plant type thing. I don't know if they do that.
No, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have thought so. If you look online, there's genuine. Was it Boston? Was it? I think
Boston was a week or two before that.
Okay. Oh, it was St. Louis. St. Louis. It was.
Maybe
Dynamite just gone with St. Louis. I'm sure.
Maybe Dusty was a name there.
I think regardless, there's a lot of people that still love Cody Rhodes, and whether you like it or not, he is responsible to a large degree of AEW existing in the first place, and which I've said before, you have to have respect there. Cody is one of the key components of it, but I don't like the Cody feuds. Like, that's been what's boring for me. The fact that he's going over is often annoying, but it's only because he goes over as a face. If he was going over as a heel, you wouldn't care as much. But it's the fact, like, I don't think he's buried anybody. I know that that's a big thing, but I wouldn't say Cody's buried anyone. He hasn't buried Malachi Black. He hasn't. No. He didn't bury a Go-Go. He buried that entire program with that stupid promo. He hasn't buried, I don't think, any of his opponents. He has good matches with them, but it's just, being the first TNT champion and beating Lance, I don't think was necessarily...
That was wrong.
I don't think that should... Yeah. But then the whole thing with him and Brody, And looking back at Brody's situation and stuff as well, obviously he takes the title back off of Brody. We didn't like it because it was so quick.
Yeah, but at the time we didn't know it was happening.
Exactly. But then he drops it to Darby, which was a good move and made sense from that long sort of story.
Yeah, but Darby wasn't a good champion for me.
But that's not on Cody.
No, but
that's not on Cody.
It's not on Cody. But I'm just saying, if he had dropped it to Miro, the Darby Allin stuff didn't happen, and I would have been.
I get what you mean, but I think that's a different story to look at, because that's the booking of Darby Allin post beating Cody. At that point in time, Cody dropping the belt to Darby without knowing what the run was going to be like is the right move to do.
It could have.
When you've already booked that match to happen, that was the right thing to do. That was the right outcome.
I would have taken Brian Cage, but
it's all that's all just armchair booking what ifs, isn't it? But for Cody. And again, like, there is an element of armchair booking to it, because everyone's going to look at it and go, well, I'd rather see this happen, that happen. I try not to do it, but, so I'm not going to do that here, but I can only kind of like just sort of talk about what it is that we are seeing. And the fact is that every rivalry for me has been the same thing. It's the Nightmare family, which consists of half the population of a state, and then, people are turning on him. Like, that's part of one part. That's one rivalry, isn't it? Like, yeah. So-and-so's turned on us, so I've got to get my own back. And then it'll go to so-and-so's assaulted my family, so I'm going to, fight for my family's honour. Then it's so-and-so turned on me, so I'm going to get my own back. Oh, so-and-so's assaulted us, so I'm going to get... it's the same. MJF turned on him. QT turned on him. Malachi Black beats up the whole Nightmare family, so they have to have a fight. Lance Archer beating up the Nightmare family, has to have a fight. Brody Lee in the Dark Order beats up the Nightmare family, so I've got to have a fight. It's like, it's all the same thing. Cody's not been in anything post world title match with Jericho, which still actually started the whole MJF turns on him, so we go down that route then. Everything sort of post that has been the same story. Yeah, it was 2019. Full Gear 2019. So it's all the same story. That's what bugs me. And that's why, like, now, what they're doing, introducing Andrade to it. And now, of course, obviously, FTR on the Pinnacle, so MJF's coming back into it. It's different. It's more different than what he's done before, but they're just boring stories for me. The matches, okay, that's fine, but I'm not as interested. You're getting more invested in some of these matches because you don't want Cody to win. And that's what I feel like Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes 2 was. Because
we were all worried that it was going to happen.
Yeah. But he's obviously self-aware to the point where, even in that third one, and he addressed it in that promo, obviously he thought about hitting a very different move, but he gets a double underhook.
I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, I did. But, he turns into the Tiger Driver 98, but everyone thought that was going to be the pedigree. And I think the reason I am getting more like, oh, please, don't be a shoot. Please make this all a work. Is because if Cody genuinely feels that, like, no, I'm going to be face. Like, it's so detrimental. It's so opposite to what AEW's been putting out there so far. Like, they don't do knee-jerk reactions, but they do change course based on what the fans want, which is the opposite of what WWE does. I don't think the original plan was Hangman to be the face.
No.
At this point in time, because if you look back at that, even Revolution last year with him and Kenny versus the Young Bucks, and actually the speculation, the story going into it was that, can Kenny trust Hangman? He's not really, and Hangman was teasing giving Kenny the, what's his finish? Yeah, the buckshot. Hangman looked like he was going to turn the heel because the drinking thing, but that got him over.
And it was during the pandemic, wasn't it? He disappeared for a long time.
He's had a few, yeah. And obviously more recently, I think, because his child was born.
Yeah.
So that's completely fair enough. But, the crowd started getting into Hangman, and so we did this eventual build of turning him face and having Omega turn heel, which has worked better.
Yeah, because wasn't a fan of Omega as a face, to be honest.
No, I think he works better as a heel.
It happens. Most people are better at certain ways.
Yeah. And now there's always going to be the argument, isn't there, that if Cody turns heel, then he's going to start being cheered.
I don't think so.
I think... I don't know. It's hard to tell because it depends how he'd act.
I know it's different. I know it's also different, but look at Roman. I know the heel turns work wonders for him, but he doesn't get the cheers that people thought he would when he turned heel.
Not now, but then you look at who he's been going against, and that's one of the things that I think they have done right in WWE, is what they've done with Roman predominantly, is that he goes up against guys like Finn Balor, who are going to be cheered. He goes up against a Kevin Owens, who is going to be cheered. You know, so if they make sure that Cody's up against people that, like, you know, you actually really want to see them succeed and he beats them, then that's the heel you need to see. But even that has, like, an expiry date to it.
Oh, yeah.
Because Triple H was doing that as a heel, and people still hated it. Triple H buried in the entire WCW roster as a heel, and it still didn't mean it was the right thing to do.
But I do...
So as long as the face still gets their comeuppance...
I'm pretty sure, though, this might be just me remember, Triple H got cheers when he was doing that run.
Yeah, but I think naturally you're always going to get some cheers, but Triple H is, even at that point in time, is someone recognisable, and he's going to be, you know, he's Jay's favourite wrestler. He's going to be someone like you're going to cheer them whether they're face or heel.
Yeah.
If you're really into the character.
Even when Sting turned heel in WCW and in TNA, the old TNA days, he still got cheered. When do you get to the point where you stop booing the bad guy and start cheering for the good guy?
I think all of that really now, where we are at current point in time, is all subjective, because you can't make everybody boo the person you want them to boo, and you can't make everyone cheer the person you want them to cheer. Because we're just at a different point in time, and that happened in the Attitude Era. You know, it's not like it's a new thing, but it's the idea that you can't cheer a face that acts so much like a heel, because in real life, when you have people that genuinely think they're the good person in a situation, yet everything they do is, there's ego to it, they just come across as really obnoxious, they're not a likeable person. No. And that's what I mean. You have to make parallels to real life situations. And if Cody, the character, was a real life person, had to make a better entrance than everybody else, had to be the centre of attention regardless if they were the best thing going or not, genuinely thinks that they are like the face of the company. And he's not. He was once, but he's not now.
Was he the face?
I think he was. If you go back to the first episode of Dynamite, which I did last night, great reaction for Cody. And I think it goes back to that whole, he's one of the founding members. Oh my God, we've got this alternative to the terrible WWE product, and Cody is one of the reasons why. He gets that reaction, and he had that fantastic match with Dustin at Double or Nothing. He had a great match with Darby the following show. I think it was Fight for the Fallen or Fighter Fest, it might have been. It was one of them.
I didn't like his match with Jericho, though. It was good, but it wasn't...
No, but memorable because it put MJF into the position he needed to be in.
And the best part about that, and this might sound bad, is Cody's dive that he missed and landed on his head.
Which I think he can still see it on his head.
Oh yeah, you know, you're gonna never get rid of that stuff. Because let's be honest, we were all worried he was gonna put himself as champion, as the main champion.
But how perfect does that work if you're the heel?
And if once he turns heel, who's to say he won't say, "Oh, that stuff where I said I'll never change the title, I lied." Which
absolutely should happen if he turned heel. But this is where it gets interesting, because he even mentions that in that promo. Where he says, like, I made that pact with you all and stuff. And it's hard to read. And that's why, actually in one way it's a good thing, because it's interesting. It's an interesting part. Like, when he comes out, it's interesting. But at the same time, even as interesting as it is, I still don't like the character. And I won't support the character because he's not a likeable person.
Yeah, it's like
as the character, not Cody as the real life human. Don't know what he's like, but the character of Cody is not a likeable person.
AEW is an older audience. We've been through all this stuff. I doubt AEW gets. I don't doubt it, but I don't think they'll get as many newer viewers. Like
you get your lapsed viewers back, maybe.
Yeah.
But even then, there's a point in time where actually, if you was going to get them back, that's probably already happened, because we're already 2 years down the line.
But there is signs. I know they're going to say, "Oh, we were up against a basketball or baseball event," but they are losing viewing figures, not massively,
but yeah,
they are slowly losing,
because they need more when you tune into Dynamite, and I've been enjoying Dynamite and Rampage recently, but a lot of it is quite samey. CM Punk comes out and cuts a promo. That's why I like this Eddie Kingston thing at the minute, because it feels like the first actual program he's going into.
But I was going to say this. It feels like at every show you see the same. You see more people cutting promos than they do wrestle, which is fine. I guess
it's fine for a 2-hour show where you need to pad it out.
How many more times can you're going to see MJF cut a promo about basically doing the same thing and saying one controversial thing?
Yeah.
And then he wrestles a jobber.
Yeah, I mean, even then, MJF's an like you. I like listening to MJF, but then it's too much of a good thing, isn't it? It's one of those, same as Punk.
Yeah.
If you keep bringing Punk out every week,
because it feels like with Punk, they need an excuse to bring him out to do something. They be commentating. He does a promo. He does a tape match on Rampage.
Yeah, I agree with that, but. AEW needs to work on that for their own people as well. And Cody is one of those guys that is getting a huge reaction. But to say that it's Cena-esque is not quite accurate at the moment, I don't think.
Would we have done the same thing with Omega and the Bucks if they were faces?
I think eventually, yeah, because Bucks are, again, it's one of those things like, I think they're funny, but they work so much better as a heel because they come across very heelish. Yeah, look, the Cena thing with Cody, I don't know. I don't even know if it's necessarily a good thing, even if it's real, even if that's a genuinely valid comparison to make. For the reason being, you can argue, and I'll always respect Cena.
Cena has got more respect over the year.
Yeah, definitely.
And because I guess people realising...
But how many people stopped watching during that? See, this is the side of things that we're not looking at. Like... Cena, they pushed Cena so much during that, and people wanted to see something different from him. How many viewers stopped watching it because of that?
I think because the audience was growing up and they didn't have the AEW type.
No, sure, but then they weren't doing anything because they weren't creating any new talent in that time, and that's why they're in a position where they are now. Because it was just Cena, it was just Orton, like we said. But Cena, oh yeah, I do absolutely respect him, but the fact is, like, a lot of people would have got bored of that to the point where they did actually stop watching, which is what people should just do if you don't enjoy it. But now you look at Reigns, and that's gone on for so long, and that is a much more noticeable drop in viewers for the product. And that's not fair to put it all on Reigns, but that was a big part of it when he's meant to be the guy that you're supposed to be pushing as the guy. Remember Samoa Joe match at Backlash, and people were just walking out, chanting "Beat the Traffic."
That happened on Rampage.
But yeah. But this is the trouble. WWE's not the only one that does it, and AEW could be in danger of doing it as well.
But the problem with the reason I think of that happened on Rampage was they do Dark Elevation, Dynamite, and Rampage.
That's a lot. It's a lot to sit through. It's a hell of a lot to sit through. I think now they do Dark in that different venue now, though, don't they?
Yeah.
But look, it took so long to put Reigns like where he is now, and look what he's doing. He's great. It works for him.
And film figures are pretty good.
Exactly. So I don't know necessarily if that's what they want. I don't think you should be striving for a John Cena type reaction. Cody's not John Cena. No one's John Cena.
Yeah, I can't imagine Cody being on the Suicide Squad.
He probably wishes he
might be Vin Diesel's cousin in the next.
Oh my god, yeah, that family keeps growing. It's going to be a battle to see who's got the bigger family at this point, Vin Diesel or Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I'm all up for the slow build, but how slow is a slow build?
Well,
because we were saying this even Full Gear last year with the Derby match.
I'm not a fan of him going there's more than one wrestling family when there's loads of wrestling families.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I think it's got to come soon. If they let it go too long, it's going to alienate viewers more and more. But you can't, because it's more insulting. I think is probably my way to end that. It's more insulting to have somebody who openly tells you that the wrestling's not real, comes out to try and be the realest person on the mic, and acknowledges that no one likes him, but he's just going to keep doing what he wants anyway because that's what he wants to do, and still think that's a face. Like, it's not. That's a heel. It's exactly everything a heel would say.
It's go away heat, but I don't know what the face equivalent is, really.
Time will tell. And again, we're not bookers, but from a fan's perspective, I think we do share, obviously you do, and I know Jay does as well, but we share the same, I think, opinions on that. Cody, phenomenal talent in between the ropes. As a face character, it is not working at all. I don't want to see him as a face. I'm not interested in him as a face. And I'm not invested in really most of his stories because they all centre around Cody being like, oh, we need to go for Cody. Why do you need to go for Cody? Why does people want to turn? Why are people trying to beat Cody's family up? Is it because he's the guy in AEW? No. Because you're annoying. And people just want to beat you up.
Obviously, every time someone turns heel, turns face, get her a chance, but I don't know.
In time, he's got to, I think, but we'll see. We'll see. But it's not taking anything away from him in between the ropes.
3 men, 1 ball.